Hello.
Hey, y'all.
Hey. Hey, welcome everybody to Tuesdays with Audra, a live stream show where we have a chat with individuals and business owners to get an unfiltered and unscripted look at what they're doing on the day-to-day to move themselves and their businesses forward in uncharted territory. I'm your host, Audra Fournier, life and master business coach, and really just a curious person, which is why I started Tuesdays with Audra. Joining me, as always, is Chrissy Souders. She's going to be in the background, making sure we get all of your questions answered. And I'm super excited today for our guest. Thank you, Chrissy, so much. I would like to introduce you guys to Alex Workman, like you don't know him already, all over everything. I'm so happy to have you here with us, Alex.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Thank you. So he and his lovely, fabulous wife own the Workmans. Alex, give us a short and sweet of what is the Workmans?
Yeah, so we do commercial photography, commercial and editorial photography and film. We love it. We love telling stories, and kind of our goal is to how can we build a better community together. We believe the greatest asset of Tallahassee is its people, and how can we champion the amazing folks who are in our community.
So I agree with all of that, and I got a chance to actually chat with Alex before the show in backstage, and we have a lot of interesting conversations coming you guys' way. So give us some background on how you and your wife got started with the Workmans, and really how you got into photography, or have you always been there?
My mom was an art teacher, so I grew up kind of in a very creative home. I think she handed me a hot glue gun when I was like 2 and said, "Go build stuff." And you know, now having 2 kids of our own and 1 kid on the way, once we had our first son, Keegan, we wanted to be really intentional at being present parents. And so in that, we decided that we wanted to create something for ourselves so that we can manage our schedule to prioritize our family and everything that we do. And to the point where we named our business after our family. And our logo, like, literally is our family. And
recently updated.
Yes, recently updated. We have a baby girl on the way coming at the end of October, and we're so grateful to be able to create as a family, to travel the country as a family, creating for individuals, businesses, organizations, nonprofits, and we love Tallahassee. We are grateful to call it home, and also grateful to get to travel and see all the amazing things that we get to share stories of.
So one thing I wanted to go ahead and highlight, because I'm sure that any or all of our viewers are particularly interested in the project that you guys are wrapping up right now, called COVID Wear. How did you decide that this was going to be a thing?
So COVID Wear started kind of in 2 random, like the intersection of 2 random thoughts. One was sitting in my backyard while my 2-year-old son Oliver was playing on like a jungle gym, wearing a diaper and rain boots, and I kept thinking in my mind, ha ha ha, quarantine fashion. And the other piece of it was, especially in the creative space, a lot of folks have lost a lot of work. And as I was talking to a number of my friends who own film companies or who are photographers, and their work gets canceled, some of them were sharing, "Hey man, like I feel depressed for the first time in my life. I feel isolated for the first time in my life." Like, and I began thinking, like, what's the best thing that we can do to help champion those who are struggling with maybe for the first time with their mental health during this season? And the best thing we can do is help people laugh. And so how can we create something that pokes fun at the season that we're in without being disrespectful to the incredible men and women who are serving our communities, or like the severity of COVID-19? And so this is kind of the crazy idea that has kind of formed itself kind of by accident, which a lot of random projects we do happen accidentally. And we're just grateful. We've photographed over 200 people in our garage. We built a studio in our garage because, quarantine, and folks from all over the place. So, yeah, I mean, that's the big idea. How can we make folks laugh? How can we put smiles on people's faces?
I And I think that that's what really probably resonates with everybody, including myself, is that, this quarantine, this whole COVID situation it's so serious and so can be so negative and can be so draining. And I think it's very situationally aware of you guys to find a way to, poke fun at it, like to make a little bit of light out of it so that it's not so heavy.
Yeah. We just want to put smiles on people's faces. That's the goal. How can we make folks laugh? I mean, and at the same time, it is an interesting time to be alive, right? There's a lot of stuff a lot of conversations that we're having as a country, as a community.
Mm-hmm.
And from the beginning of this project, we kind of had this thought, like, we're all in this together. And we, like, through that process, we wanted to be able to showcase our entire community, or at least showcase an accurate representation of our entire community.
Mm-hmm.
And then after George Floyd died, and the conversation of unity and race and diversity and all of those things began to happen on the national scale, for us, it just became another way to talk about we're all in this together.
Absolutely.
And use creativity and use people laughing, not at the same time, not to be disrespectful to those conversations, but also, like, we can have these conversations in a way that we can promote humanity as well.
Anissa says, "Oh, I love the one with the red boxer shorts and the white skirt and tie. Perfectly says what working during COVID is like."
100%. Yes, I am.
Absolutely.
I do have pants on, though, for the record.
So he says, I particularly like the ones where, the kids are hanging on the legs and, because I've been to many, many, many Zoom meetings, and you just forgive the fact that, the whole family is in one space, and it's difficult to find a quiet corner to work. When you're homeschooling and you're working and you're, doing all of your spreadsheets and what have you.
I mean, for us, that was, I would say, I guess, a little bit beneficial, because, like, we're just used to that. So working from home, working with our kids around, we travel with our kids. When kids were young, I would show up on, like, production shoots with a kid strapped to my back, because that was just like what happened, right? Like, it comes with it.
And it kind of sounds like that's the whole purpose behind you guys starting the Workmans, is so that you could do those things.
Yeah, right. And so, like, we have those honest conversations with our clients that, like, usually our family is involved in everything. And a lot of projects my kids make cameos in, and it's kind of part of the fun. Yeah. I think authentic is better than perfect any day of the week.
Absolutely. I completely agree.
And all that we do is try to, champion authenticity.
Absolutely. Because to be able to make a connection with your client or anyone else, you must come at it from a very authentic place.
100%.
And bring your full self, right? So what question are you most tired of hearing, and what would you like to say so that you never have to say it again?
In the context of like our actual production work, I think good, bad, or ugly, like, creating content has become more accessible than it ever has before. I mean, you have large corporations filming national TV commercials on iPhones, and that's incredible. I think at the same time, there's also this ability to to neglect the business side of things when it comes to being a content creator, and the strategy and the coaching of the client. And so I mean, when someone's like, yeah, I could do that with my phone, I could do that. I got a camera at Costco. Like, good, go do it.
Right. Let me know how that turns out.
Yeah. I don't know. That's not really a question. I would,
right.
From a question standpoint, like, probably I would say, like, when people ask, like, do you offer discounts, or do you offer discounts for nonprofits, or do you offer discounts for this? And we made a decision very early on with our business that we don't offer discounts for anything. We don't do that because we don't like nonprofits. We don't do that but at the same time, like advice that I was given at one point was like, understand your value, maintain your value, and then your clients will help champion that. And so that's one thing that we encourage folks is like, understand their value and don't be the low cost provider, because then you'll always be the low cost provider. And so like we do a lot of work with nonprofits and organizations, and we work with them to be able to accomplish their goals and to work within their budget. But at the same time, I think being able to, I don't know where I'm going. I'm being ADD.
I think well, I completely understand where you're coming from, and I think that that's a very good point. So there's two things that I would naturally say about that is that people do align a particular level of value with a particular amount of cost associated with that, right? So there's also the concept that, it's either fast, cheap, or good quality, pick two.
Right.
And it just really depends upon what the client is looking for. But if you continue to discount the cost of what you do, then the value that somebody associates with that can decline as well. And you don't want that, right? Yeah. You want to make sure that you're aligning the amount of value that you're giving with the cost associated with that value, to make sure that you're coming forth authentically, right? This is the level of quality that we do. And if we charge less than that, then we're not able to keep that quality as high as what our standard is.
For sure. Well, and I think a lot of creative folks do a really bad job at managing expectation. And I think I think
a lot of humans in general, just across the board, expectation wise.
And I think when we connect with folks, it's purely like on the business side of things. When we connect with folks, like ultimately that business owner or that manager, they are investing part of their budget in creating something. Okay. Mm-hmm. So, like we want, like the last thing I want to do, no matter how the project goes, no matter how all of that happens, I don't ever want someone to say, man, our return on investment was not there. Like, I don't feel like I found value in what I spent. And so there's many times we try to convince folks not to hire us.
Yeah. Margaret Rose asks, how do you get past? Yeah, absolutely. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you. No, Margaret Rose asks, how do you get past blockages with content creation?
I don't know how to I don't know. I don't understand. I'm sorry.
So when you want to be,
can you clarify that? I have the comments up on Facebook.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I want to really answer the question, and I don't really know, like blockages, like creatively, blockages financially, blockages vision wise. I think there's a lot to unpack.
I would say probably creatively or vision wise. When you have an idea, but
yeah, like we try to do a personal project every year, and that helps force us to create. Like COVIDware was our 2020 personal project. Like in 2018 and 2019, we did a project as a flag back here. We did a project called Never Forgotten Coast, where we gave away over $50,000 to business owners in Mexico Beach after Hurricane Michael. We launched the first microgrant fund ever in the state of Florida to support the private sector, because there's really no private sector support in the state of Florida post natural disaster that's not a loan. So that forces me to create for no other reason but to create. So that's important for me. From a vision standpoint, like, I mean, we want to help champion the creative culture of our community, and we want to like a rising tide lifts all boats. And so how can we help define the creative expectation of Tallahassee and our region? And so those are things from like a vision standpoint that we try to champion and set expectation. Because a lot, like artists in general, I think there's two types of artists. I think there's artists that want to provide for themselves and artists that want to express themselves. And the challenge there is, at the end of the day, you can express yourself all you want, but if people don't want to purchase the product that you're creating, it doesn't devalue you as an artist. It just means no one wants to buy what you're making. And so at the same time, I have to understand, like, if I want to have a career as an artist, like full time, supporting my wife and my kids, and my wife and I working together to do stuff. I need to be able to create product that people want to purchase. And I want to create content, whether it's photography or film, that like individuals, businesses, organizations, magazines, corporations, that they're willing to invest their resources because they want to in turn see return on that investment. So it's that's really important to us.
Okay, I'm trying to see if I have any follow-up questions to that.
Sorry.
Is there ever a time when those two things, what people want to buy and what you want to create, don't mesh? Like you have a feeling in one direction, but it doesn't. It's not necessarily what the end user would naturally need or want.
Well, I think oftentimes from a content creation standpoint, whether it's photography or film, whatever, a lot of people will either be in two camps. One, a client approaches them and says, "This is exactly what I want you to create," or a client will say, "We want this," and they'll say, "This is what we're going to do because we're the expert. Do it," and we're going to do it. Like, don't tell. Like, I just don't think both those work, right? Like, people are hiring me because I'm good at what I do. And I'm like, I always want to learn. I'm confident in who I was created to be and that we create. Like, I don't want to put out work that I don't believe in.
Right, of course.
At the same time, most folks that hire us know more about their industry than I do. So if we collaborate and work together and figure something out, like we're gonna have a product that we're all proud of way more than anyone else. And so how does that translate? I think collaboration is important, and it's important from a client to vendor relationship to not show up and act like you know everything, but understand, like, know the lane that you run in and how we can kind of like swerve a little bit and then figure it out together, because we're going to, like, our goal is to get there to the same destination, right? I want to add a product to my portfolio. They want to add a product to whatever medium it is. And then they see return on investment in their business for that. So I don't know if that accurately answers your question, but
I think so. And I think it also
way of getting there.
Just got,
Yeah.
I think that also answers Anissa London's question about, do you first start with inspiration or do you start with market demand? And I guess it just depends upon whether you're starting from a passion project or you're starting from a client relationship there.
There's a lot of times a client will say, "This is what I want," and I'll say, "There ain't no way that you could do that in the budget that you have.
You're going to have to rethink or rework this."
Right, but that also doesn't mean like it's on them to come to the table with more cash.
No.
It's on me to say, how can we create something that gets us there, that might not be your exact vision, but accomplishes the same task within the budget that you have. I think, a lot of folks will say, like, "I just can't do that," or they'll say, "I can do it," and then the expectation gets missed, and then folks get frustrated. And then at the, figuring that piece out, I just think I think it's important to you as a storyteller, you want to be able to capture humanity in everything, right? Whether it's like a something super sexy or super lame. It's not always easy to try to make a tech company look sexy when like it's a bunch of coders with headphones on all day, right? And so then it's figuring out how we can work together to tell a story of humanity, because people care more about people than they care about process or programs, right? Or in this works, right? People care about people, and how can we champion people in all that we do?
Absolutely, absolutely. Margaret Rose said, "What credentials do you think are needed for your industry or in your field?"
I don't know. I mean, so my wife and I thought we would play music for a living for the rest of our lives. I have a master's.
You were going to play what?
Music. I have a master's in church music. My wife has a music theory degree from Berkeley. So
You're like way out in left field. Still creative, but left field.
Yeah, it all kind of started because we like randomly did a project with Tim Tebow and one thing led to another. People started asking us to do other stuff, and we were like, yeah, we don't do that. And then we're like, okay, maybe we can. And then, one thing led to another. So I think with anything, especially in 2020, that credentials are amazing. They're all, but credentials aren't everything. And I think that it's a conversation like as parents. Do we want to encourage our children to go to college? We don't know. I don't know if I'm going to encourage my kids to go to college. And I think the other piece through that is when someone asks me to do a project, I almost every time say yes, even if I have no idea what I'm doing. And I will hire somebody that will do the project, and then I will watch it. There you go. Fake it till you make it. Of course I can do that. And then I call Chelsea. I say, hey, babe, I agreed to do this. We've never done this before. We need to find somebody who does this, who can do it within this budget. Even if we don't make any money, we're at least learning how to do it. And so that's.
There are so many things in this that resonate, because you and I had this brief conversation about how you were involved, you and your wife, or your wife mainly, involved with the John Maxwell team. And so it's like, seek first to understand.
Right.
Say yes, figure it out later. Know what your strengths are and stay in that lane and outsource anything else.
For sure.
Or
marry someone who's way more talented than you are.
Say that again?
I said, or just marry someone who's way more talented than you are.
There you go. Find somebody that's got, skill sets that you don't have. And,
go ahead. Sorry. ADD.
Champion your community, champion your team, seek to rise the whole team. Rising tide lifts all boats kind of concept.
For sure.
So if you were to talk to a business owner that were starting out in kind of an industry similar to yours, what would you say would be some pieces of advice that you would give to them as far as, the things that the Workmans as a group find important to drive themselves and their community forward?
We have 2 rules in our family: have coffee with someone you've never met every week, and have someone over for dinner every week. And I think by abiding those 2 rules, we've facilitated the relationships and created advocates for us. And that's not disingenuous. I mean, like at the end of the day, like when people come over for dinner, like it's the rule, we don't talk about work. We just be friends.
Or politics.
Yeah. No,
or the economy.
And at the same time, Tallahassee is a unique city. Like we moved here from Atlanta. When my wife was working for John Maxwell, and Tallahassee is just a unique place because everybody knows one another in a lot of ways. Like the degrees of separation are so much less in a small town like Tallahassee, and in a lot of ways because we're geographically isolated, right? So it's not like we're commuting from far to. I'll meet you for Fox at 2:00. And I can't at 2. How about like 4:30, maybe? Email me, hello@wearetheworkmans.com. Let's grab coffee.
Denise in London says, can I bring a side dish?
For sure. Asian is my favorite food group. So, yeah, I mean, I think understanding your community and facilitating friendship. I think Tallahassee is inherently inauthentic. You have government that tells you what to do and education that tells you what to believe. And I'm not saying that to complain. I'm saying that to say you have to understand the environment in which you're in, then move forward in the culture that you want to create and the culture that you want to facilitate. It's like understanding reality and not pretending things are a certain way. Because once we understand reality, and once we understand like this is how it is and not this is how it should be, or this is how I think it is, or this is how people tell me it is. Like moving to Tallahassee was tough for us. Like when people would say, man, it's 15 minutes all the way across town. That's too far.
Like, wait.
When
have you been stuck in downtown traffic in Atlanta before, ever?
Yeah, like if there's no traffic in Tallahassee, there like when people complain about traffic in Tallahassee, I'm like, man, I live in Tallahassee, so I don't have to deal with the commute. Like, I mean, like driving from downtown to Golden Eagle is like nothing.
Right.
Yeah,
and it's pleasant and lovely and as well.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So I mean, with like, oh, bless, you have to wait 2 cycles on a light. Like, come on, y'all, that's not traffic.
No, it's not. So I want to kind of step back to that community thing, because I think, I've been talking to quite a few people, and through COVID, what they've found, you celebrate community as community, but you're also celebrating the community of business owners. And through a lot of your projects, Margaret Rose says it takes 15 minutes to get to the end of your driveway in Atlanta.
We laugh. We're like, 15 minutes is getting out of our apartment complex, y'all.
But bringing those collaborations with the different business owners, whether they be solo entrepreneurs or, they have businesses with staff, seeing that celebration is also really beautiful.
Sure.
Trying to find ways to work with other business owners.
No, I agreed. I think it goes back to the idea that rising tide lifts all boats, and there's plenty of work to go around. We're the capital city of the 3rd largest state in the United States of America. I mean, the opportunities in Tallahassee are incredible, and
I agree.
At the same time, we need to realize that people come to Tallahassee because of people, not because of spreadsheets or politics. Or maybe they might come for those things, right? But
they might benefit from them when they get here.
If people are going to stay because of relationships, and I think that doesn't mean to sit back and wait for that to happen. Like it's making a conscious decision to be active and involved, and sometimes that just means sitting at a coffee shop. But for me, I mean, like what I tell every person who's new to Tallahassee, I say, have coffee with someone that you've never met every week. And every time you have coffee with somebody, you ask that person to tell you 2 people that you need to have coffee with, and then to make an introduction. And then you figure it out, right? Like everyone has talents, everyone has passion, everyone has goals, and you might not figure out like the people that fit in that puzzle right away.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, like, being in front of people constantly allow that to happen. But and then it gets to the point, like I was just sitting at my dining room table with a Florida State student who just started in sports management grad program, and they were like asking questions, and I was saying like, hey, what can I just serve you? And they were talking about like, here's some things that like I can do to help, like make some introductions, and then like do it. Like, so I'm sitting at the table making the phone calls right there.
You're like, hey, I got this person you need to meet.
Right. Like, I think we often forget, like, oh yeah, let's do this. Let's correct. Like, let's stop talking and let's start doing. Right. Let's not say, hey, we'll get to it.
Later.
We'll get to it later. Hey, let's have another meeting about that. We're still discussing.
Well, that's the number one reason that I named my business Partners for a Solution, because I know even as a coach, I'm not great at everything.
Sure.
But I'm happy to use anybody that I meet that I think might be a good fit for you for whatever service or whatever need you have, to make that connection, because we're all in this together, and I may not have a referral for you today, but you're certainly in the back of my mind. And when I meet the person that I know is going to be a good fit, I'm like, oh, that's your guy.
Yeah.
No, yeah, and taking that action, exactly.
The responsibility is huge, right? Like and a lot of the projects, like with the hurricane project, like we said, like we're not going to wait for pick a government program to solve the problems of a community that was destroyed by Hurricane Michael. Like, we can sell a bunch of T-shirts and make a bunch of and raise money and give it away. And so we sold T-shirts and gave away $50,000. Because like we weren't going to wait, and that's not, I'm not saying that to be boastful or to pump myself up, but I think especially as content creators, we have the opportunity to pivot very quickly to meet needs. Yes. And that might require a little bit of time, that might require a little bit of resources, but the net result will be so much greater because we have the opportunity to do something. And I would also say that that's also kind of a decision that we've made for our business. We don't spend any marketing dollars on us. We just create stuff. And we decide that we're gonna take our time and energy in creating content. And that's kind of how we in turn decide that we're going to showcase our work in the way we want to showcase our work. And oftentimes we'll create something that is out of like this random piece of vision or random idea. And then we'll have folks coming out of the woodwork saying, hey, I saw this on Facebook or LinkedIn. And
because people can so connect with it. I mean, it comes from your kid running around in his diaper and rain boots. I mean, that's just life, right? What the project that you did, the Forgotten Coast, that's life. That's an event that happened in your area, and people can connect with that. So what have you got coming in the future, and how can everybody find you, get in touch with you, figure out how to tell their story through you?
Yeah. I will take your money. Support our diaper fund. We're going to be, so you can mail diapers to our office, 914 Railroad Avenue, Suite 18.
Because baby being born in October, lots of diapers in need.
We prefer Pampers Swaddlers. If you give us something else, they'll probably get returned for Pampers Swaddlers. My wife is very particular on that, and we've realized that they work the best. So a couple ways, like our website is
to Pampers Swaddlers. If you would like to sponsor this episode, Pampers.
Amen.
Right.
Amen. I would say our website is We Are the Workmans.
A second interview so that we can get more into depth.
Deal.
Yeah.
Our website is wearetheworkmans.com. There's a contact page on there. If folks want to go to calendar.wearetheworkmans.com, that's actually my coffee calendar. So anyone that wants to have coffee, we can go there.
Say hello. Say hello.
Hello. You can click there, fill out the form. Other projects are like our community projects that we've done, and things that we like to create and do. And kind of from there, we love to grab coffee. We live kind of on the west-ish side of town, north of the new Target on Tennessee Street, and so we frequent Paper Fox Coffee a lot, probably a little too much. So this is our project, the Workman's Coffee Spots. It's like us exploring cafes from around the world. I'm a firm believer that great communities have great hospitality culture, and great hospitality culture is indicative of great communities. And I say like, if I'm saying, hey, I'm going to pick a city, what should I do? 5 out of 6 things that someone's going to write on Facebook are where I should eat or drink. And so I believe in Tallahassee, if we want to create an incredible community and we want to champion that, what we need to do is to champion the hospitality sector in our city. So we're a big believer in local cafes. It doesn't mean I don't love Starbucks, because I'm a parent and sometimes kids are sleeping in the car and I need a drive-through. So we need a local cafe with a drive-through. But at the same time, we live close to Paper Fox. We're there. Calendar.wearetheworkmans.com. I'd love to grab coffee with you, just hear your story. And then follow our projects on social media. We've got COVID Wear, Ariel Tallahassee, the Workman's Coffee Spots, our company, the Workmans.
Yeah.
And, lots of random stuff that you can do. So I hope that helps, and I hope there's enough random action steps to move forward.
Totally. Okay, one last random question. If you had a superpower, what would it be?
Carbs don't count.
Flying.
No, carbs don't count.
Carbs don't count. That's your superpower.
Yeah. If I could eat loaves of bread all day long, that'd be my superpower. Forget the
bread. Just bread and coffee.
Yeah, I mean, like we spent the last couple of weeks of 2019 in New Zealand and Australia. We flew from Tallahassee for $700. So anyone who says you can't fly out of Tallahassee for cheap does not know how to travel well. And I'd be more than happy to teach you how to travel out of Tallahassee for cheap. But at the same time,
We're gonna have to have coffee.
We would literally sit like on the side, like we would sit in this town in New Zealand eating loaves of bread and full cream milk. And at the time, Chelsea and I, we were like 2 or 3 months in, like we were gluten-free, dairy-free, and sugar-free. And we were eating literally loaves of bread and milk with like the fat layer. They'd like shake the bottle up before you drink it. We didn't feel bloated. We didn't feel sick. We didn't feel lethargic. I mean, it's just, our food supply sucks.
That's what I was saying. You know, the American food supply and what they've done to it to screw us over is a whole nother conversation for another day.
But if I could live off like Krispy Kreme and like sourdough and jam and ice cream, that would be fantastic. 100% my superpower.
Okay.
You want to go to Olive Garden and have unlimited breadsticks and not feel like hot trash when you're done.
Hot trash. I completely agree. Me and gluten, but I agree. Except I would be pairing mine with like wine. So I'd have wine and because I'm French, you know, so it's like a baguette and a glass of wine. Done.
Now
this has been so much fun.
You should do a wine review on every show.
You know, let's work together on that.
Hey, the best bread in Tallahassee, for those watching, is at the Hawthorne. If you've never been to the Hawthorne, you need to go to the Hawthorne and get a loaf of sourdough or a baguette. But you should totally have a Hawthorne baguette on every show, and you dip it into your giant wine glass, and then try it. And that's how you do it.
Yes. Let's discuss how we make this happen. Yeah. Wine pairing and bread pairing.
Yeah, like if supporting local, I mean the Hawthorne's amazing. It's Jesse. They are awesome. 𝐂𝐴 Liberty, and 1903, as well as Liberty Farms. So they're great people. So definitely support them.
Hey, asking for a referral. Do you want to connect me with them and I'll have them on the show?
You should.
See how that works?
Look at that.
So easy. We didn't even have coffee.
Jesse Evans.
Well, thank you so much for being on the show. And I'm sure that we will put all of the contact stuff so that people can follow your projects and champion all the things that you champion. And thank you for doing so much for the community and really just highlighting Tallahassee with a big heart. Yeah.
Good time, and I hope you have an incredible day.
I hope that you have an incredible day too. So that's been Tuesdays with Audra with Alex Workman. If you have questions for him, you can put them in the comments or you can reach out to them directly. And thank you, Chrissy, for always being so wonderful and bringing up web pages for us. If you have somebody you want to nominate to be on the show, then please email me at tuesdayswithaudra@gmail.com or shoot me a message on Facebook or Instagram. It has been wonderful to see you guys. Thank you everybody for your comments. Huh?
Mail you a baguette with like.
Or you could mail me a baguette, or you can mail him some Pampers. Okay, because he's gonna need them.
I don't know if y'all are Shark Tank fans, but have you? This is total tangent. This is for free. Have any of you guys ever heard of Potato Parcel?
No.
Okay, so there's these guys that decided they were going to start a company where they write messages on potatoes and mail them to people. And they are making millions of dollars mailing potatoes all around the United States of America.
That just goes to show you never know if you have a really great idea and somebody will invest in you.
Launch baguette boxes.
Baguette boxes.
Amen.
With a wine sampling.
It's like communion to go.
With a message, Anissa says.
There you go.
Thanks so much, Alex. Yeah. I look forward to. I'm going to book a coffee date with you. We got more to talk about.
Deal. Looking forward to it.
Have a great one. Thanks so much, everybody. See you next time.
All right. Bye.